Hello, welcome back to 3D Drawing for Your Model Railway. In today's episode, we're going to look to continue working on the cab, trying to add a bit more detail to it. Probably start by initially looking at the headlights, which are on the front surface here, and then we'll move on from there, depending on how time gets on. Okay, so the first thing is we need to make sure we're working on the correct cabs. We're going to work on this one to start with, so that everything then copies across as we work through it. Okay, and we do actually need to, before we do that, come back to the top surface and come back to before the copy, and then we can select that cab surface. Okay, so looking on the cab front here, we've got a couple of lights here that we can copy quite simply. So if we come back into Fusion and we've got the correct one selected, we're going to be looking to draw on that front plane here. The first thing I'm going to look at really is, if we zoom right in, whereabouts that plane actually is. Let's have a quick look. So it's a bit too far out really. So if we look at the picture on the cab side, they're only just probably level with the front of the point at the pointy end here. So what we could do is, if we come back into Fusion, we can move this plane slightly, and it won't affect what we've done previously because it's already gone beyond that point. So if we select it, right click, edit feature, we can just bring this back a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe to about there. So that's 18.2mm from the back of the cab. And then when we draw the lights, they're going to be in the correct place. They're going to be sort of sitting at this height, roughly level with where the front of the cab is. We could possibly eat that. It's not really worth it. Could possibly come back a little bit more, but I think I'm going to go with where we are there. If we spin this round, we can now look at it end on. We can draw on this front surface. Now, unfortunately, the plans don't have the cab lights measured on them, so we're going to have to go and work from the photographs. So if we look, they're probably a couple of inches in, probably 3 inches both sides, so we can draw that on this surface here, and it's not going to be particularly big, so we're going to go from the side. We're going to have to dimension the corner to the corner. So height wise, I'm going to go for about 0.5mm, and I'm going to do the same on the, didn't want that there, let's delete that. See what's happening there. If you move slightly, it moves the position of the dimension. We need it to be vertical. So I'm going to put it that position there for 0.5. Okay, how big do they look? So if we look at the size, you're probably looking maybe 6 inches at the most. So we're going to go for 1mm square, I think. It's going to be 1mm all the way around. And then we can extrude this back into the shell of the body here. Don't go too far, because you don't want it to go all the way through and have this end pointing outwards. You just want it in enough that it's going to be joined all the way on. Okay, so that's the basic shape of that. How does that look compared to what we've got on pictures? Now if we look side on, it looks okay. Yeah, so I found this photo here. So again, if we trace this line upwards, it's pretty much where we've drawn it. So I'm happy with the position of that box. We've just not got to draw on the circle part on the front here, which is, again, if we look here, you can see how we've got this. That's actually probably looking like it's too far out. Let's edit that feature. We can bring this back in. Will that affect that window? Probably. Let's go 5 there, see if it makes any difference to the window. No, it hasn't. So that's probably, it's better because it's going to be slightly behind there. We're going to create a sketch on this front surface here. If we look at the picture, there is a bit of a gap all the way around, so we're not going to want to have that circle going all the way to the outside. So yeah, probably 0.75 I think looks about right. Maybe 0.8. Yeah, let's go with that. and then we're just going to drag this forwards. Doesn't need to come far. Oops, spun too far. Probably 0.15. And then what we can do is just chamfer off the edge so that it looks a little bit neater. Do that 0.15 as well. You see you've got a curved surface there. Similar sort of surface to what we've got here with the silver bit going around the outside. And then we're going to copy this across to the other side. So what we can use, if we remember, we've got those mid planes that we drew. Let's make sure we get the correct one. Not that one, it's that one there. We can then mirror, and we can do the features. We're going to want to pick up the 3 parts of the extrusion of the main box, the light itself, and then the fillet on the life. And then mirror plane, I'm going to use that center one, which is the top level here, plane 1. Mirror that across, click on OK, and that should automatically join in there. We've only got one body still. We've got that light on both sides. Okay, so if we look at the spotlights now, or the headlights, there is a little ledge underneath that they sort of rest on, which is quite useful because that's going to add as a support when we draw the fillet out on the back. So we're going to go back into Fusion, and we're going to turn that front plane on that we were using a second ago. The light is slightly further forwards than these ones, so we may need to create an actual offset plane of that one as well. No, I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use that to create the ledge. So create a sketch on that front surface. So it's again a couple of inches above the midpoint. We've got yeah, it's exactly pretty much centered on that. So if we create another rectangle, actually let's project that first. Create another little rectangle, and it's going to be like this. It's going to maybe do 0.6 long, maybe 0.3, 0.2 thick. That's it. I'm going to define the height between those two as 0.3, and I'm going to try and midpoint those two like that, so they're now that's centered between these. Why is that not constrained? Let's just check that midpoint again. Constrain that. There and there. Doesn't like it. Let's check the measurements here. So what have we got here? 0.187. And define the same. It's not gone centered. Let's delete that dimension there then. Let's go 0.15 there, and then define the same distance there. 0.15. That's now centered. We can then extrude this. Going to do it 2 ways. So extrude 2 sides. Oops. Where's that spun round to? Definitely didn't ask you to go that far around. So we're going to extrude 2 ways. We go in and tap to join. I'm just going to come forward a little bit because that light is going to sit proud of this one here. So as you can see, it sits forwards of that. Okay, so now to draw the headlight. Again, jumping back into Fusion, I'm going to draw a sketch on the front surface of that little ledge. I'm going to use a circle. I'm going to find the midpoint, come up. I'm going to go, yeah, 1 millimeter, I reckon. And you notice how it's cutting into the bottom here, which is absolutely fine. I'm going to create this as a new body, so I'm going to extrude these 2 backwards. maybe 0.5 millimeters. Tell it to be a new body. Click on OK, and then if I turn off the other part of the cab, all we've got left is the back of the light here. We can then round this off. So if we come in at 0.4, it's going to give us a little straight section at the front, and then it's going to curve up, maybe a little bit less. Yeah, 0.35, I think. And it's going to curve up to a flat section on the back. So yeah, it's going to get something like it. And click on OK. And then we can combine those two bodies there. So we can keep the original body, and then tool bodies will be number 2. There we go. What we could actually do, if we wanted to make it a little bit stronger, is come a bit further back. Yeah, let's do that. Let's edit there, 0.7. And then round that just a little bit. 0.44, I think. Yeah, 0.4. That's just going to give a little bit more area, surface area here that's going to be connected to this, make it a little bit stronger. You may even want to potentially come back into the body just to beef it up a little bit, because of this will be very, very brittle, very potentially breaking up. We'll leave it like that for the moment, and we'll see how it looks when it prints. It might work absolutely fine. Okay, so we're going to mirror this across now. So same as before, mirror. Plane's going to be plane number 1 that we just had. So I'm going to select those features. We might have to do the combine as well. Select the mirror plane. It's going to be that one down there. That's the midpoint. Click on OK. And that mirrors across. Oop, actually, let's hit that feature. What we didn't select, we didn't catch that one as well, which is the little ledge that it sits on. Why does that not like it now? Okay, let's delete all them and select them again. So that. Doesn't like it. Interesting. Might be because of the combine. Let's try that. Still doesn't like it. There we go. Let's board it across. So let's delete that combine, and then if we combine what we've got now, so that body and those two, that's it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is I'm just going to create a raised surface around these windows that we've done to act as like the seam area here. So if we just come into Fusion, we can select the sketch on the front surface of the front window and then do an offset around that outer edge here. We're going to do minus 0.2, and that should put it on the outside. Click on OK, and then we can raise that by 0.2 as well, and that should automatically join, giving us that sort of lipped edge around the outside. If you wanted to, you could fillet those off, but I think that will be okay. We'll do the same on the side. Offset minus 0.2, then offset that one by minus 0.2, and then I'm going to keep that middle bit there, because that'll act as like a window seam, and that's going to be 0.2. we can mirror this across on that plane just to make that life easy there. So mirror, select that feature, mirror plane being that centered one that we just had. Click on OK. We've got the same on both sides now. Let's turn those planes back off. Okay, so let's look for some detail. So on the number 2 cab, we've got this clip box here on the side here. Okay, so if we have a look, see if we've got any on the number 1 cab as well. So that's the same on that unit here. So yeah, number 1 cab, it's got the same clip box on the side. So if we come back into Fusion, it's on this side. Create a sketch on there. If we look at the size, so it's probably an inch or so up, a couple of inches, and it looks like it's rectangular, maybe 10 inches by 8 inches. Something like that. Let's define the height there from there to there. 0.3, happy with that. This one I'm going to go for 0.4. Length, 2 inches. See if that position there with that button. Yeah. Yep, happy with that. And 1.5 high. And then we're going to extrude that 0.2 forwards. And that's going to give us that raised profile there. Okay, let's have a look for some more details that we can do. So we've got, I think this is the horn on the front here. Again, that's going to be really, really delicate on there. I'm concerned about whether that would print, and if it does, how well it would print. Because it's floating. I think more often than not that would probably fail. I'm going to leave it off for the moment, and we can come back and look at it in the future. Again, nothing else on this side. Nothing on this side. I've got something here again. It's on both of them. Definitely on the number 2 end. Interesting little artifact there. I think maybe just put a circle of some description up on the top here. See how these photos are great. There's so much detailed photographs here. That's again on the number 2 end. Same little thing on the number 1 end, and it sits proud. I might just do a little circle there and not worry about being nothing behind it. So if we use that plane that we were using before for all these lights, we're probably going to have to, offset that in slightly. Okay, so it's height, maybe 7-8 inches down from the roof there, and it's not a particularly large item, so draw a circle on here. Ooh, what's moved? Let's continue. Nothing seems to have moved weird. I'm just going to draw it maybe about this position. It's not particularly big thing, so maybe 0.7. And we're going to define its position. Six down and 1.15 across. Let's get that to join. Yeah, I'd say maybe a bit bigger than that. No, it doesn't. That's not 6 inches. Can't be so. I don't know what it is. That looks like it's a different design to the. Yeah, it is. This is a completely different design to that other photo, which looked more like a horn type thing. I'm definitely, I think, I'm gonna extrude this in slightly because I don't want it to be that far out. Yeah, maybe 0.3 off the end there. Again, I'm happy with that. Again, there's nothing else that I can see detail-wise that we're missing off the front of or the side of the cabs. So I think I'm pretty happy with where we're up to at the moment. Can't draw the back and copy it across as simply because we're chopping the end off the other cab to make it shorter. So I think I'm going to leave detail-wise where we are at the moment. Can't draw window wipers; they would just snap, and there's no point. Okay, so let's skip this forward in the timeline. Have a look at how that looks in both cabs. Everything looks to have copied over okay. So I'm pretty happy with how that's starting to shape up. So I'm going to finish this episode here and then we'll come back and draw the rest. In fact, while we're here, we might as well just draw this, close this off. Slice through the cab. The wall thing is a 1mm. It wants to snap to the bottom. We're going to extrude this all the way across. Join. There we go, we filled that in. Okay, I'm going to finish that episode here and then we'll come back on the next episode and we'll look at the rear cab doors here on the back. So thanks for watching.